Hi everyone, this is Steph from Hilltop View Journals, and I am just so excited to be part of this collaboration. And today is my first ever tutorial on YouTube, so I hope you will be just a little bit gentle and understanding when you see some of the amazing mistakes I make during my tutorials. But as part of the Let's Get Back to Basics with the A to Z Christmas Challenge, I have been giving the letter T, which is amazing because I can play with tags and I love tags. And this has got me so much into the Christmas spirit. I really want to thank Rachel from RachandBella Crafts and Rose from Journals in Time for giving me this opportunity today to come and play with just the most amazing Christmas digital bundle kit. And everything that I've got here is either just been made from looking up ideas on Instagram, or I've used the kit. So just a quick thank you as well to all the artists that have come in the last 20 odd days. They've shared their talents and showed us some really basic but just amazing ways to use paper, and you know, they've given up their time, and you know, it's a really busy time for everyone this time of year, so I just really want to give a massive shout out and thank you to them. So I've just got a couple of very short tutorials today just to show you how to add some personal touch to tags. And I just hope that you will enjoy the tutorials. Now what I've got here is just some basic tag shapes that I made from the kit, and the kit has got so many pages for you to go through, and these are some of the pages that I've used in my tutorial, and they're just perfect. You know, there's so many ways that you can cut these up and use them. I just absolutely love the pages in the kit. And what I also wanted to show you here with these little, I just love these. Oh, it's so much fun making these. So these are these little whimsical Santa Claus, and aren't they just gorgeous? So I'll just lay these out here really quickly to show you. And I haven't used anything special. These are the pages that I've cut up and I've used as backing, so you'll see around all the edges there I've just used different backing from the kit, and there's so many for you to use there. And I've just added just a little bit of a personal touch with some sewing around and some just glitzy ribbons. So I'll get right ahead and go into the video, and you'll see two videos. One, we will make these tag journals, and I will also show you how I made these vellum tags. Hope you enjoy. See you at the end. One way to add a nice little personal touch to your tags is by using tracing paper or vellum, and I've printed out a couple of the really nice collages from the digital kit. So I've got 3 here. I've just put some white paper behind them so that you can see them. You can see which ones that I've chosen to use today. And I'm also using some music paper, which I bought very cheaply on Amazon. eBay. I got them on eBay, but you can also go onto Etsy and download them as digital kits, and there's an array there, and I'll have a search on there for you and see what kits are available so that you can purchase really cheaply. Okay, I'm also using some really old file folder. Again, I bought these from eBay, and they're great as backing, especially for Christmas, because you've got this nice green backing. So what I'm going to do first with my rather large craft knife is I'm just going to take the edge off. I'm just going to measure here. Slightly different sizes, but that doesn't matter. So that is, the tallest one is about 7.5 inches, about 19 centimetres, and the smallest one is around about 7 inches, which is about 17.5 centimetres. Okay, so we want to use the side that's got the print on. And that doesn't matter because that's going to be covered. Put that to one side. So what we want to use then is some of this lovely sheet music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these on. Now I will be sewing around the edges of these tags, but if you're not sewing around the edges, you really will need to go around the edges with some fine glue, and I would use art glitter glue for this, only because the bottle is so great with the fine nib. Once I've used all this art glitter glue, I will probably fill it with a lot cheaper craft glue. But for now, I'm using the art glitter glue for that. So that, yeah, definitely need to go around the edges to secure it. Let me just pop that there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is cut these down. When I put the next part on. Okay, so we've got 3 tags there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these, and as you can see, it just looks really nice with the music paper behind it, and especially for Christmas, I think, because I think music and Christmas are they just go hand in hand, don't they? So I'm going to use that one, and then a little bit more traditional, I think I'll probably use that one, and I'll probably use that one on the edge there as well. So what I need to do is avoid measuring wherever possible. So I would prefer to do it like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some light film of glue on here and hope that you can't see it through the vellum. Nope. And actually the art glitter glue does work quite well underneath vellum, as long as it's not too gloopy. So then what we need to do next is put our tag shape in, and you can do it by eye, you can use previous tags, there's lots of different ways to get a nice shape, but you do need to actually get them fairly symmetrical. So to here, no, that's not working. God. It's like this, man. 1.5 here and 1.5 here. Join up the dots. So I'm going to draw it actually, and I'm going to cut it because I don't want to rip that vellum. Right, okay, so we have a perfect line. And then what we can do is flip it over. That looks about right. And cut the other side. There we go. That should look fairly equal. And then we can use this tag to cut the other ones. No more measuring. And there. And there. So we've got our 3 tags. Just clean up a bit of a mess here. And then I'm going to put some nice edging on these. So I think I'll just use a bit of walnut stain. You can hardly see the colour there. Just to stress the edge here a little bit. And I think I'll use some gold. Now this is metallic gilding polish, which I purchased from Amazon. I'll put the link below. Okay, putting the hole in. So I have a small little punch there. Now, if you want to measure, you could go from there to there, which is about 8-ish. So it'd be about 4-ish. Pop it there like that. A nice punch. And then use this one. Pinch that in there. Now there's lots of different options for covering that hole. If you've got a crocodile, you could put a nice gold metal inlet there, but what I've got is I've got some paper reinforcing rings, and I bought these on Amazon, and I'll put the link below. And what you can do is just colour them with gold, or you could paint them if you've got some metallic watercolours. They've got to be paper, because the standard ones, the wax or the ink will just come off. So there we are. I can just make a mess on them. They're quite delicate. But a very cheap option. I've got gold all over me. Okay, so I'm just going to pop these over to the sewing machine, go around the edges, and then we can start decorating. Okay, so I've done some sewing, and these are what it looks like, and I just think it just adds that nice little touch to the edge and covers all those little imperfections that were on there, and it just looks really nice on the back as well, even though they're just plain. You could embellish the back with some stenciling or stamping. But what we'll do now is we'll just add a little bit of bling to these cards. So I've got some baker's twine here. Again, I bought this off Amazon this week. I'll put the link below for you. It's just got a nice gold thread to it. So I'm just going to cut some, thread it through, nice and easy. Hopefully no special tools required. You can cut that there. And what I've also got here are just some bits and bobs of Christmas stuff that I've collected over the last couple of years. You can pick up these types of bags on Etsy, where sellers will just put all their offcuts in, and they're really handy because then you get a nice selection and it's not too pricey. And what I've also done is I've made some just loose watercolour embellishments, hopefully looking like some holly and a Christmas tree, and just fussy cut them out. And they're actually on watercolour paper, but if I was going to do it again, I'd probably do on something more lightweight, because you don't really need the watercolour paper to get the shapes. Okay, so I may have to speed this up because it'll probably take me a while just to figure out what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm happy with those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sew around them just to secure them, and then I'll glue them on. I'll be right back. Now, you really don't have to sew. I've done it because it's just easier and quicker for the purposes of the video. But like for this one here now, it was left on my desk instead of going over to the sewing machine. So I would use something like Fabri-Tac, or the other beacon version of glue, which is the 3-in-1, which I have no idea what the difference is. But there's some things in life you just don't need to know about, and I think that is one of them. So you can just glue them down on top of each other. And be patient and wait, but I'm not patient, so that's why I've sewn mine. And the other thing you've got to be careful of with something like Fabri-Tac is when you're gluing it, you can see through it, so try and be sparing with it where the material is showing. You could also use a glue gun for this, but oh, such an effort to get the glue gun out. So I'm just going to glue these down. It's a little bit wonky, that top bit. Come on, stick on there properly. That's better. And there you have it. 3 vellum cover tags. I'm sure you haven't not noticed that we're getting really close to Christmas, and you may be wondering how you're going to find the time to make a beautiful journal that you can record your wonderful memories in before the 1st of December. And I've been faced with this problem. So what I've got to show for you now is a very quick and hopefully fairly easy way to make a journal in time for December the 1st using the tag shape. So I've made one here. Now I know this won't be everybody's cup of tea in terms of it being black and white, but I just wanted to show you that you're not stuck with the colours of the kit. You can, if you tweak your settings in your printer, you can make some really nice effects with it. Now what I have here is basically black card and one of the pages, which I'll show you, which I've got in here in colour. Just done a little bit of an embellishment there, and I've covered the inner cover there. And then I haven't finished it, but the beauty of this is once you've constructed the structure of the what I'm calling little tag book, you can then embellish it every day as you record your wonderful memories. And what I've done here is I've used quite neutral backgrounds, nothing too fussy, so that I'm able to, well, that is quite fussy, but I definitely will still be able to write with black ink on there, and on there I can write with white ink. These I've copied from Pinterest, and again I've used either black card or there I think I've used lightweight drawing paper, which is much easier to fussy cut, and it just adds a nice little touch, but obviously you can use whatever embellishments that you have. So this is what we're going to make today. We're going to make a slightly smaller version because this is a 2 signature booklet, and I wanted 2 signatures because I need to be able to write on 2 sides of the page for each day. But what we're going to do now is we're going to make a single signature, which will be easier to demonstrate and also easier to finish. As you can see, I haven't really done much in the back, but I certainly will be having some fun every day when I do finish it. Okay, firstly you need to choose what papers you're going to have in your tag journal, and what I've done here is I've printed on double-sided paper, and I've chosen pretty much the same prints as in my black and white tag journal. So these are digital kits that you can easily write over, and we've got, oh, there's the one that I've used for the front cover there, you see. So I mean, it's beautiful either way, but I quite like the black and white version. And what I've also added in between is some tea-dyed paper, and this is actually green tea dyed, and it did kind of turn out quite green, so I was quite pleased with that. So as you can see, if I just flip them over properly, you can see the pages that I've used. And they're fairly neutral. Oh, I love this one so much, just can use it so many things. Well, I love them all, but you know what I mean. I do have my favourites as well. I love this one as well. And that one. And that one. Here we go. So they are going to be the signature pages. And then what I've also chosen, and unfortunately I've got a little bit of water I think on there, but I'm not going to worry about that because it's kind of a abstract image anyway, and I just love the grunginess. This will be grungy. So these are going to be for my inner pages, which in this journal, what I'm referring to are that page and that page. And of course I'm going to use this for the outer because I just love it so much, even though I have printed on the other side, but that doesn't matter. And I will probably use some of these wonderful collages on the front as decoration, and Rachel has put this up on her coffee site. Now I will put the link in the description, so some wonderful words that you can cut out to whatever shape you want and make some tag labels or book labels to put on the front of your tag. Okay, so they are the pages that I'm going to be using, and just as a reminder, you need to choose fairly neutral to be able to write over them. Of course, you could use all tea dyed or coffee dyed paper and then just embellish them with some fussy cutting. You could do it that way as well, which would save printing. But I didn't have time to do the fussy cutting, so I've been quite lazy and I've just printed everything out because the kit is there to use, so I'm going to use it. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is put these in some order, and I'm not going to be too fussy about the order because it's going to be a daily journal that I'm just going to record quick thoughts, lists, etc. in. Just make sure I've got that page there. Yep, brilliant. And you need, because this is going to be in a tag shape, if you imagine, we kind of want it about there really, and it is, I'm going to go for approximately 21 centimeters, which is round about 8.5 inches. Doesn't really matter too much. You could want, if you want a wider one, you could obviously go much wider and still have the tag shape, but I think to keep the tag shape looking like a tag, you need to cut it down a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around about 21 there. These are perfect for making tags, so don't let those go anywhere. Now the other thing you will need, which is fairly essential in this project, bone folder. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fold each one of these, flatten them down, now if you've got more time when you're cutting this end piece off, if there's an image that you really want to keep, because you can see here I've cut off the tree. So what you could do is sort of cut either side if you're really passionate about keeping the images, but for the purposes of the video I just did one big slash. Now the other thing that we need to think about is the actual cover. So on this one I've just used plain black card, and there's multiple options. You could use craft card, you could use red or green. Now I didn't have red or green, so what I've done is I've actually just, with some drawing paper, just made a nice mess with paint. So here I've used acrylic paint, lots of splatters, and I've just had a lot of fun making a lot of mess. So I'm going to use one of these, and I'll decide on which one I use when I get a little bit closer to that point. Right, so what we need to do now is, I'm just looking at my instructions. Slot paper together. Okay, so let's just slot these into position, making sure that they are the right way up. Check that you're happy with these. And just with a bone folder, let's try and find the middle. Okay. And what you can see, there's a little bit of an edge. I'm not too worried about the edge at the top, but the edge on the side, we're going to trim that down, not because of my perfectionism, but purely because it just looks a lot neater. It won't be exactly the same when you open it. You can see, because I got two signatures there, there's a bit of an overlap, but from the edge there you can see it's quite flush, and I think that's nice because it looks like tags then. So with my blunt knife, and I'm going to slowly go through and trim those pages. By all means, use a paper cutter if you prefer. But this is brilliant. I got this from Charlie's, and it just fits standard Stanley blades, which are really quite cheap to buy, and you can get them anywhere. And it's just so handy. But that's just my preference. Okay, so there is the excess. And if I can just quickly show you again the cover, what we're going to do when we make the covers, we're just, well, not with that, but we're just going to wrap it around. So that's what I'm planning on doing. Next thing we need to do is make the shape. So I'm just wondering, could I use a tag? No, I'll measure it. So I think I'll go down 2 centimeters. And go across 2 centimeters. Let me just measure that again. 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters. Join the dots. Hold on tight. That's your first side, and then what you can do is pick one of these. Let's pick a decent one. So if you cut it there, like that, flip it over, and then you can make your mark. Of course, you could always measure. Probably be easier actually. That's where it's going to be. Have a quick look at that before you commit yourself. Hold on tight and cut. So if you were making a 2 signature journal, what you would need to do is prepare the second signature, use these and sort of line it up and then cut it and then you'll have it quite equal. But it is a bit fiddly doing 2 signatures. Excuse me a second. Okay, next thing is we need the cover. So I'm not too sure which one I want to use. I know I want to use this as the backing, or as the front, I should say, as the front part of the journal. So it's really which one goes best. I do like my messy dots. But, that's a bit too busy. I quite like that green. It's going to be the green. I'm definitely going to go with the green. And the way I would do this is we'll go from the other side because it doesn't really matter and it's easier to show you. So I'm going to wrap it and leave myself an overhang. Put a mark there so you can see I've got quite an overhang there. And cut it here. And I want an overhang so that when you wrap it, I don't know if you can actually see that, but there's the overhang there. It just protects it. It just gives it just a little bit more sturdiness on the edges, because if you're putting this in your bag or something, if you're using it for lists, you know you want it to be a little bit more sturdy. And the other thing I need to do, keep the bits, is measure top. Now the top you do need to be fairly flush, top and bottom. So I'm just going to pop it there. And I can always trim it if I need to later. Okay. Okay, if you wanted to sew around the edges of your journal cover, you'd need to do it at this stage. Now I didn't sew around the edges of this journal cover, I just sewed around the topping, which I found to be a lot easier, and then I just stuck it on. It's up to you, it's not necessary, and I'm not going to do it in this video because I think it's just easier to show you without the sewing, and it's easier to construct it without the sewing, but it is at this stage that you need to do the sewing. Right, so we have this here, so it's quite flush. I'm just going to wrap it around. And I'm going to fold in these until they are, so I haven't quite folded it yet, I just want to check that it's pretty close. I'm going to push the signature back into the centre as much as I can and make a fold. Do the same on this side, flip it around. find using drawing paper that's been painted on really nice to work with because it's quite pliable. So, been saying that, still a little bit fiddly. Of course, you could cut this straight across without having the overhang, but I just think it gives it that added protection, and it's worth a couple of minutes of just fiddling around and folding, which is what all us paper crafters are good at, I think. So just make that flush with a bone folder. Okay, next stage is to make the holes. And what I'm going to do is measure from the top of the journal to the bottom of the journal, so it's 21.5. So 21 would be 10.5, so it's about 10 3/4 centimetres. Doesn't have to be completely accurate. And then I'm going to measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always count them. Don't ask me why. The numbers are there, but I just feel better. And we're going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. A very loose 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Have my awl, my pokey tool. Might be an idea to put a bulldog clip on here just to secure it. Just make it a bit easier. And I'm going to poke straight through. Now I wouldn't worry too much about what it's going to look like on the spine, because you can quite easily, with this style, cover the spine. Now, yeah, it's looking a bit messy there, but really, honestly, I don't mind. If it had bothered me, I would have put some nice white or silver lace or something like that on there. But this is just going to be a daily journal, and it's just having fun with the tag shape. So I'm going to roll with it, and that looks about right. Do another one there. Being careful not to poke my fingers through. And one there. And it's easier to actually sew in the signature before you cut this, because then again you can fold it and check that it all aligns. Okay, so I'm going to choose a needle. Fairly small one. I got one here somewhere. Stick them all out. Oh, there's the one left in there. And I'm going to use some white thread. You could use white, red, green. This is in front of me on the desk, so that's the one I'm going to use for ease. And there's lots of tutorials on the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, but so this is a very quick overview. But basically, measure 1 lot, 2 lot. You can go about 2.5. If you want some dangly bits on the end, do 3, 3.5. But I'm not going to go with dangly bits on this one, because it's not going to be used long enough for the effort, I don't think, because it's just going to last a month. And what I forgot to say is 8 or 9 pages, you times it by 4, so 8 4s are 32, so that's going to be enough. 8 pages will be enough. I think I put a couple of extra pages in there. Right, so I'm going to go in through the middle, hold the string, or wax thread I should say, find the hole on the bottom, go through the top hole, go back in the middle, then I'm going to thread it on the other side so they are either side, pull it through. Yep, that's working just fine. And just before I tie it, I'm just going to put these needles back, because I know if I don't put them back they'll just end up all over the floor. Nice and tight. I'll tie it 3 times is usually enough. But the whole point of this project is that it's quick to get a journal ready for December the 1st. There we go. So you got your little journal. Fantastic. And now it's much easier at this stage to cut. Now I know I've got a little bit of an overhang at the bottom, but I'm really not bothered. It's the top that doesn't know that you don't want the overhang in. And what you want to do is you want to cut the shapes when it's closed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where my edge is there. And it's not exactly equal, but you know, it's there or thereabout. There. And what we can do is we can fold it before we cut it, just to see how we're getting on. So I just need to move it a little bit if you want it accurate. So you wouldn't really want to do this with too thick a card because it might be difficult to manipulate. But there you are, you can see that. That looks fairly close. I'll just use my scissors. No, I'll use my Stanley knife. It's a little bit out. What I could do, I'm happy with that. And do the same on this side. And then cut. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tidy that up so it all looks neat. There's the perfectionism coming out. Such an affliction. And there you have your tag shape. Next we're going to glue down these edges. I just love that. I love it all. Keep on saying it. I love it all. Next thing we need to do is put the holes in. And you may want to have your holes central. So if I look at this, it's just about 10.5 centimeters across. So that's about 5 and a bit. So I probably want my hole round about there. Does that look about right? Yeah, that looks okay. Get my trusty little hole puncher. And punch your hole. And then what you can do is use that hole and punch a couple more pages. Things that can go wrong in a video. I've just broken my hole punch. So fairly lined up. It's not going to be 100% accurate because you're making this by hand. Okay, what are we going to do next? Let's do our cover pages. So with the cover page on this one, I didn't do any measuring. I just eyeballed it and just cut the shape. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So what you want to do is just have a nice border around your cover and not go too close to the spine. That is the easiest way to make this cover. So I'm just going to mark there, and I'm going to go up to the top and mark about, I'd say, that's the top, just mark about there and guesstimate that and cut it. These lines are brilliant. The mats get messy really quickly, but I just think they're awesome. Let's see how that's looking. It's a bit of trial and error. What I'm going to do is just draw a line so it looks like it's going in line with the tag shape. Doesn't have to be super accurate. Just see what that looks like, and if it's a little bit squidgy, we can always reshape it. So I think I just need to take a smidgen off either side there again, just to give it a little bit of more of a border. Less is best. Keep on cutting. Oh, I'm quite happy with that. Let me just see what it looks like on the back, because if it matches the back we can use the same template. And I think, oh yeah, because it's opposite, isn't it? Oh. I think I'll measure it again. And then I'm going to distress the edges, and I've got walnut stain mixed with a bit of gold here from making the vellum tags. Only need to distress one side. Of course you could distress with gold, whatever you've got. Copper would be nice. So this is going to be my front. So I'm just going to line it up to about where I want it, flip it over, and draw a hole. Best to do it on the side that you're going to stick it on, because you're never going to be 100% accurate on each side. Oops. It's not looking very straight, so let's try that again. Just to make sure. That doesn't look straight either. Alright, we're going to go for it. Oh, I know what I've done. It's because I've measured it there, haven't I? Right, so there's going to be a bit of a change of plan here. That's going to go in that side. And this is going to go in the back. So one beauty about crafting is you can always recover those little mistakes. Promise. Right, I'm going to go with this because that's what the hole is telling me, so that's what I'm going to do. And this one is going in here like that. And what you can do with these, and I would suggest that you use reinforcing rings so that you don't add any bulk. And I've got these paper ones here. They're covered with gold. Now I've got to remember where all these go, haven't I? It would be an idea, actually, I think, if I just mark back inner, and I think I decided that this one was going to go on this side. Yep, that fits about right. Back outer. And I've done exactly the same there, haven't I? I've measured it there. Front. Hilarious. Front inner. As your mum used to say, do as I say and don't do as I do. Well, still a bit close, isn't it? Yeah. I think I'm going to have to do, hang on, on that side, back inner, back outer, front cover. Does that fit there? And that fits there as well, doesn't it? So back outer. think what I'm going to have to do is another inner cover. We've got our back inner and we've got our front cover and we've got the back outer and with a bit of luck the back inner. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop over to the sewing machine and I'm just going to go around the edges. Totally unnecessary. You could do some faux stitching or you could put some gold on there, but I'm just going to put some stitching on there because I like it, and I shall be back in a bit. Okay, I've sewn around the edges of the tag covers that I want to use, and also whilst off camera I've just given this a little bit of a distressing with some walnut stain. I probably will put some gold on to make it look a little bit more like Christmas as well. So the next thing I need to do now is to do some embellishing. The beauty of this little journal is that as it is, you can use it. You can start writing in it whenever you like. And every day then you can go along and maybe do a little embellishments, put your tie on, etc. And maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit now when I've covered the front page. I'm just looking at this now, and although I have got a nice print to put on the front page, what I'm planning on doing is using one of the collages that have been put together, and you know, it looks quite nice with the green background without the pattern. But anyway, I'm going to use a pattern because I really do like it, and I'll probably speed this up a little bit because it'll take me a while to work out what I want to do, and you can craft along and have some fun with me. Okay, that's my front cover. Not too much fuss, but I really like that, and I just think these ready-made collages are so easy, and they also show you as well how to set things out. So what's left for me to do now is to embellish the inside. I will go and put the reinforcing rings on every page, and I'll use a selection of different ribbons and string, some baker's twine, on each of these. Again, as I said, you can just go ahead and do that every day as maybe something as a nice routine for you to unwind at the end of the day when there's nothing on TV. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to use this lovely sheet of words which Rachel has made available in her coffee site, and I'm going to cut those out and I'm going to use them for each day as prompts, so I can write about, you know, gifts and what I think about eggnog and snowflakes and gingerbread, and you know, there's just some lovely words there. And you could also do your own sheet and just put prompts on, so it just gives you something to write about every day. And also included in the kit we've got some washi, so we could cut that out and use it as nice trims on the edges of the pages. And also you could always use this sheet then to put each each number of the day up until the 25th, which is great. So each day you could just cut a square out, put a little bit of frill on it, a bit of gold, and then that will really embellish the journal. So I hope you found this useful. It's just a quick way of getting a journal ready for Christmas, ready to start on December the 1st. You can start journaling and making the most of the Christmas festivities.